Nina and I have it. It's possible to have balance, right? And when it's not there, you just know. Nina knows, I know. It's just debilitating. Sucks your soul out, it feels like sometimes too.
Yeah. Welcome back, you guys. This is the Daily Humans podcast. I'm Nina.
And I'm Ashley.
And welcome back, you guys. It's so great to have you here today on this beautiful Sunday. If you're wondering, first off, because it's unavoidable here right now, if you're wondering, Ashley, Nina, why are you looking like Smurfs today? Because we're in all blue.
We are Smurf.
It's because the wonderful Ashley has bestowed me a beautiful present of an hoodie. And if you don't know what an hoodie is, if you're just listening into this and you're not watching it, first of all, what are you doing? But if you're just listening in, an hoodie is essentially a wearable blanket. I have coined it my wearable, talkable best friend blanket that I can just carry with me everywhere in the world. And it has kept me warm in Germany winters, and it has been a heaven sent. So thank you, Ashley. As somebody who's chronically cold, this has been a lifesaver. So thank you to you, Ash. And yeah, I hope you guys can join in, be comfy with us, because this is going to be a fun episode. It's not going to be fun like the last one, but we're going to talk about a little bit of nitty gritty stuff, as Ashley likes to say, her word, nitty gritty, which I love, by the way. We're going to talk about some interesting topics today, but we want you to be comfortable. So pull up in your blanket, in your hoodie, in your tea with your hot chocolate, whatever you want to do, with some pancakes on the side. And yeah, let's dive deep into it.
I want pancakes. I want pancakes. No one around in my suburb makes pancakes, has pancakes, and it breaks my heart, my achy, breaky heart. I just don't think you understand. Like, oh, I just want pancakes so badly.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you have pancakes, feel free to enjoy them. And if you tell me about it, it's all right. I will absolutely support you.
Oh,
jeez.
yeah. The last couple episodes, Ashley and I have been talking a lot about friendships, relationships. I mean, we do that on a general term, but in our last episode, we had a fun getting to know each other on a deeper level sesh where we asked each other a lot of questions. That was so much fun. You guys should definitely check it out. I would love to, by the way, can I just say this? I would love to, in the future, if there's ever like a chance to do this, to like do like some kind of like card games or something, some kind of like questionnaire, Cards Against Humanity type of thing. I think that would be super fun.
Yeah.
That would be super fun. No, but talking about friendships and stuff, something that that has been coming up recently that has been quite interesting in the journey of healing and evolving and meeting people and letting go of people is, I don't even know how to bring it up without just kind of getting into it, but have you guys ever been in a situation, I'm sure this topic has been around for quite a bit now, where it's like, I have friends, but they don't really make me feel supported in the things that I do, or I've been in dynamics with certain people where I feel like I'm the bad guy for not feeling okay with what's currently going on, and navigating that process. That's kind of where I've been personally at, of like, I've been navigating a new terrain within friendships and relationships in general, and recently had to let go of a few people because I didn't feel like the amount of effort that I was putting in was what I received in return. And yeah, today we're going to talk about a little bit of that, a little bit of fair weathered friends, maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome, whatever, serves.
Yes.
Yeah,
Imposter syndrome.
we're just going to flow with it. We're going to flow with it. I'm going to see what comes up. Let's sit down and
Namaste
chat with
to
us.
imposter syndrome. We love it. We live for it.
No,
Deliciousness.
we don't. No,
Like
we don't.
like experiencing deliciousness pancakes to experience imposter syndrome. Oh
Oh,
god. Yeah, Nina and I have definitely experienced because we are on the spiritual journey as well, as if you didn't know. So we experience triggers for our healing journey because we're open to it, but we definitely have our moments where we say, fruit basket to this whole experience, we're out.
yeah.
But we definitely have experienced a few triggers around these topics and around, I guess, the values of humanity when it comes to supporting each other, and then our own experiences of navigating, creating foundations in friendships and what that means for us, and
Yeah.
starting from scratch, where
Yeah.
imposter syndrome comes in because you don't really know what you're doing. You're kind
Yeah.
of going by, where you're at mentally, physically, and emotionally and spiritually, and then building off that, because you yourself,
Exactly.
because we are the accountability podcast as well, what do? We take accountability because it is the trend. It's the bomb. Everyone should get in on it,
Yes.
take accountability. We just building things off the growing values that we're creating and then also discovering and learning and da 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 da. But we go through a lot of triggers because, like
Mhm.
a lot of if you listen to us for a while, we've both had too many experiences in our lives that we are now healing from. And this is a part of that friendships, and the whole thing of that, as well
Yeah.
as finding ourselves, identity,
It's
the
a whole
whole
lot.
shebang, the
Yeah. It's a whole
entire thing. It feels like the entire universe of healing at this point.
Yeah.
Everything and anything is up for grabs in this healing experience that we apparently said yes to.
Yes. It's been interesting because Ashley and I have been experiencing things come up and triggers as well around the same time. I think we mentioned it in the
Yep.
last episode that we both just like ended up just crying, me the day before and then her the morning that I woke up, and we were just like, yeah, it's just the way it is between us both. So it's just been interesting and fun,
Yeah.
and actually a lot more grounding to be able to go through it with you at the same time, Ash. But it's been weird. It's been weird. I'm not going to lie. 2024 has been a strange year so far. And navigating all of the changes that have been occurring in the world has been quite interesting, but also within my inner circle. Because, like I mentioned, I've mentioned it a few times now, I've let go of a lot of friends. And it's been an interesting thing kind of navigating, okay, these people are for me and these people are not. This is where I'm pouring into and this is where I'm absolutely not getting anything out of, and kind of the triggers that come with that. And one of them for me specifically, and something that I genuinely have a really hard time wrapping my head around, and I said this to you, Ash, as well, where it's like the amount of support that I give, and this is not coming from ego. I do have to preface that this is not coming from ego, but just like honest talk, real talk. I have a hard time understanding how oftentimes the people closest to you don't support you as much as you support them. And that can
Mm.
be with business endeavors, with hobbies, with things like that. You tend to hear quite a bit of this. I've heard it on through many people, especially on online and TikTok and things like that, where it's like, I'm never going to be okay with that. And I agree. I don't understand it. And it's something that Ashley and I talked about a little while ago, because I had like a moment where I was like, I do so much for the people around me, for the people I consider closest to, and I don't feel like I'm getting that back from certain people. And it's been interesting navigating the loss of those friendships and what comes after, because in my mind, if you really truly care about somebody, right, you would be there for them, you would support them, you would do it's interesting because this is coming up now too, and I have to mention this. It's like when you have a difficult conversation that you need to have with a friend or anybody you love, and you won't actually go ahead and have that conversation. It's not because of that other person, it's because of internal things, and you know that. But at the same time, knowing that it's going on, there's a conversation that needs to be had, it not being had. You trying to like approach
Mm,
it, but you're like, I'm not really the person that needs to bring this up. It's that other person. And being in a situation where I'm constantly hearing, yeah, you know, it takes a couple minutes just to send a text, it takes a couple minutes just to do a phone call. And yet, the easiest route is often not the route people take. It's always the hardest route. And that goes with support as well. It's like you can do so you when you really care, it really doesn't take a lot to let that person know that you care and that you support them. And oftentimes that's not what you get. And so I don't know. Like for me personally, I've had a hard time with that. And it's caused a lot of internal dialogue and conflict where it's like trying to do the pros and cons thing of like, well, they're here for me in this, but not in that at all. And it's like it's weird
mm.
because for me personally, in friendships, when I've been in friendships when I care 100%, I'm there 100%. You know, maybe not every day. There are things that go on in life, but I feel like people also use that as a crutch. Well, you know, I'm busy. Oh, I do this, I do that. It takes 5 seconds to do certain things to make your friend feel supported. Like, hey, how's that going? Your hobby that you're having, this is what you're doing. I think that's great. Good job. You know, let me support. Can I like? Can I share? Can I comment? Anything of the sort, right? And I don't know if I said this before, but this is not coming from ego. It's just coming from wanting to understand. Um, and the imposter syndrome that I've been feeling personally is often of, am I actually valued as much as I value you? Because that has been a big, there's a curse word that I want to say, I'm not going to say it. It's just been a big mind warp. Let's put it like that. It's been a big mind
Buying
warp.
fruit basket.
Yes. Ashley, why don't you chime in? Because I'm sure you have quite a few things to say and share as well.
No, I hear you. I've said it so many times that even though we are aware of many things and even though we can understand the why, we never actually justify the behavior. It's just understanding the why. But even when we do, it doesn't mean that you and I haven't sat there and gone, why is this happening? This is not fair. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's something that I've personally had to really find peace with is having my moments where I'm not all self-awareness and I'm not all um, you know, I guess the word that comes to my mind is professional in my stance of how to cope with feelings and how, I'd like myself to be and to present myself when there are moments where I actually sit here and I go, this is not fair. Why is this happening? I'm annoyed over this behavior. And it can be something that like I can understand why people do it, but yet I'm annoyed at it.
Yeah.
And like yourself, if there's one thing that I know and that I vouch for is you're a giving person, I'm a giving person, and I always
Mhm.
have been a very giving person, and I've generally wanted to. Aside from the people pleasing tendencies and like the healing of that, I have definitely been a giving human being because I want to be. And I love it. You know, it's not just soul fulfilling. It's generally because giving is the most selfless, beautiful thing that you can do for other human beings as well. I'm not just giving material things either, but like what Nina said in the last episode, I sent her affirmation cards. Like I made them and sent them to her. It can be anything you desire, but it's a token of appreciation. It's a token of connection. It helps builds the connection as well. Again, doesn't have to be material. Can be literally anything.
Yeah.
Just saying to your friend, "You're so beautiful." I love how you say, how you speak, how you talk. Like just those kind of things too are a part of the element of giving.
Yeah.
Reference that point blank. But on the journey of giving and on the journey of people pleasing, but also on the other spectrum, navigating your own behavior, which I 100% will always, talk about the other side of my own behavior that hasn't exactly been healthy for me. I will totally vouch for that, 100%. But in the journey of all this, it is so difficult to be someone that just desires so much more and better for humanity, but then to be, I guess, constantly met with otherwise, or in a better way, because I definitely do not want to validate those that have, given so much, to not experience it enough, to not experience it as much as everyone deserves to. It shouldn't be rare, but it is. And it feels it. And what Nina said, when it comes down to support, it unfortunately, even right now, Nina said it too, there's still this connection that I personally can say where it connects itself to my self-worth and my self-value. So through the years of advocating and being a part of the mental health field and doing things and graduating from college, 2 colleges, getting my driver's license, you know, a couple of years of, no suicide attempts. Like there are so many things in my mind beyond the word of major achievements. They are life-changing achievements to me because I never saw myself driving. We all know what the road's like. That's a terrifying place. I actually didn't see myself driving. I didn't know that I could cope with the way that it is on the road. People in Melbourne, patience is a virtue. Learners are learning. The L stands for learning.
Yeah.
I want to preference that because people are rude to learners.
They are.
Anyway, now that I got that out of the way, there were just so many things that I look back on, even when I thought I wasn't achieving things where I was, and it's you can't help. I can't help but sit here and admit that I just wish others could have seen it. I wish that I was seen. I wish that I was a questioned love. I felt not loved enough to people to see this, to see it, just to see it, and validate it and hear it, So it's not just about the current things that have happened. It's just throughout the years, it all adds up, as we all know. We all know it all adds up. And you start to think to yourself, why is it difficult for society to acknowledge this stuff? I have a fair idea of why, of the reasons to why, but it doesn't, at the moment, it hasn't healed the part of me that hurts over another thing that I was lonely in, another thing that it was just me.
Yeah.
And I could see it. And because obviously I went through it, I could feel the achievement. I sat there. I remember when it was 4 years later after the suicide attempt, and I thought, wow, this is for real. I have never gone this long before. I have never experienced this length, This is a major thing for me. But who would actually acknowledge that? And like I said, even graduating, I know what it took for me to get to this point. I know that. And I understand that I can't expect other people to know because they're not me and they haven't experienced what I've experienced through my own eyes and feelings and emotions, right? Because no one can but me in that way. But I've said it so many times, people desire to be heard, seen, and validated, and I'm one of them. And I would happily admit that any day because there's nothing wrong with it. We all want to be loved and seen and heard, and I want to be that as well. But I feel what's the word? Deprived of it.
Mhm.
I feel massively deprived of it through all the things that have unfolded and where I am today. I'm alive. I'm alive. You know, I've survived. I'm surviving complex PTSD and major mental health issues and trauma, and I've survived and I'm here. But I feel alone in that acknowledgement of I'm here.
Yeah.
Something I've really battled with a lot these days, especially the last few days. It's been coming up quite a lot in just looking back and really assessing all of that. And like you said, Nina, you know, it's a difficult conversation to navigate because you know that people go through things, you know that they have their lives, you know that they have their unfoldings, and we don't know the extent of that. But at the same time, it's like, where do we draw the line? Where do we come to the middle? That's kind of what
Yeah.
I'm thinking is where do we meet in the middle here? Because it's too unbalanced, in my opinion. I'm not just speaking for myself. I think from seeing, oh my gosh, the amount of videos I've seen online and the conversations that have been had, just how many people are not supported,
Mm.
just how many people have started a business and their family don't share anything or they don't, oh, well, they're not obligated to. But again, it falls under what Nina said. In our ideology, when you appreciate someone, when you love someone, it's not a task.
Yeah.
It's not a burden to support their dreams, their desires. And if it is, why is it a burden to you? Why is it difficult for you? Is it because no one did it for you? We understand that. But if Nina and I, and again, we can only speak for ourselves, but if we went on that journey of, well, no one does it for us, then why should we do it for anyone else? We would just be on the side of unbalanced. It would just continually stay like that. There would be no connection of resolution in any of this.
Yeah.
But why does strangers support you more than your friends and family? Because that's another thing that we've spoken about and I've seen online. And I actually posted a TikTok about this. It's interesting how, and like you said, busy comes into the reality, but it's like, well, so are strangers, you know? But yet they find the time to do something that is so quick, whether they
Mm.
offer support, whether they share, engage is probably the thing I'm going to use here.
Yeah.
Engage. They have that moment to engage. Why is it that so many people are not experiencing that with their friends and family? It's just, it baffles you and it baffles me as well. Like, where can we find the balance? You know, what do you think?
I agree. And something that I do also have to just like put in here before anything gets misconstrued, if in case, it's not about wanting to receive something back because we gave. You know, it's not coming from that perspective. Well, I gave, so I should deserve so. It's not about give and take. That would make it a transaction and not a genuine thing to do. But it's about the lack of that happening on a consistent basis. You know, when you're the one doing everything you can to support a person and not getting that or even a fraction of it in return. And it's just it's weird. I've said this to Ashley. It's weird because it's so easy
Yes.
to just be like, hey, great job. I love this. Or I think what you're doing is amazing. Or sharing or like engaging with the person, whatever they're doing, whatever it is, whether it's a business, sharing the business, you know, whatever it is that a person may be starting or a hobby or whatever. The support is necessary. Just giving a little bit of an applause and or a pat on the back and being like, hey, you did such a great job with this. It comes by so rarely. And I wonder now, sitting here listening to you, Ash, and just thinking about previous conversations that I've had with other friends regarding this topic, it's been like, I wonder if this is because of competition or a competitive mindset. If
Mm,
people see
mm,
certain people do something and it threatens something within them. Of course, that's the speculation, but I wonder if because we live in such a capitalistic society where everybody's constantly either producing to gain something, that may have infiltrated certain friendship dynamics or relationship dynamics where then they feel like a person has to earn it, and so they shouldn't get the support of family, they shouldn't get the support of friends because of it wouldn't
mm,
be real support. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? It's just I wonder if
mm,
maybe that may have something to do with it, of like you have to earn it, you have to do it yourself. But for me personally, that's not really valid. And I just don't see
mm,
that. I think if you care about somebody, you would do everything you can to support them. And something that I would like to bring up real quick, and this goes along with this conversation. I've mentioned this to Ashley uh, last week. I have seen people with massive amount of influence, abundance in all areas of life, give very little to their own friends and family when it comes to, like, let's say celebrities. I've seen celebrities have friends that need help and start GoFundMe's, for instance, and donate maybe a fraction and then ask other people for help. And it boggles my mind. I mean, everybody can do what they want to do. There might be, people who are not comfortable with getting help from close friends. I don't know. There could be different situations, but it's just, if I put myself in the shoes of, if I have a friend that's struggling with something and I know I am in the position to help, why would I ask somebody else? If I can
mm,
fulfill it, if I have the means to, why would I export the help to other people who may not have the needs, who may not have the funds, who may not have that capability? But I know I have it and I'm not giving it. It's a bit
mm,
weird. It's all just, I'm waking up every single day and I'm like, what is this? I don't understand people. I don't understand that dynamic. But to go back to, kind of like imposter syndrome, where it's kind of been kicking up for me personally, it's like I said, I start to question my worth in our friendship. Am I actually loved by you, or are you just using me? Because I'm giving you something that you like. I'm giving you validation. I'm making you feel good about yourself. And this is not just with friendship, this
mm,
is also with relationships of any kind, romantic ones as well, where it's like, I've been in situations where at the end I've realized they were only there and they were only nice to me because I was making them feel good about themselves. And it wasn't a genuine me being valued by a person, by a man, by a friend, etc. And it's just heartbreaking when people are around you when you have hit your peak, whatever that may be, in your success, in your career, and whatever it is you're doing. They only want to be there when you're on top. But when you're having a hard time, when you're on the rise to whatever it is you want to do, whatever endeavor it is you want to embark on, crickets. You get more help from strangers than you
mm.
do from, oftentimes, from friends or family. And I
Yeah.
would like for that to be addressed more. I would like for that to be eradicated from the picture if that's possible, because I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. When you have,
Mm,
people say this all the time, family is the most important thing, right? Whether that be chosen family or birth blood family. Um, Family is the most important thing, but we don't support family. It's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. That's all I'm saying. It's a bit weird. Feels very
yeah,
hypocritical, honestly.
it is. And even trying to control, I feel like, is a massive dynamic in society. It's
Mm,
just human beings love to control.
yeah.
And that's sort of where it gets difficult with this conversation too, because there's no desire to control anyone. I would hate someone to be showing support out of this thinking of that they have to, you know.
Yeah.
It should just be a flow.
Yeah.
It should be a flow. And so it makes me wonder too, if the reason why sometimes it's not as common is because of maybe closeness. Even though I know closeness can also, it can happen through that as well. But I sometimes do wonder if maybe the hierarchy of family in some cases, where a friend will support their family but not their friends, you know,
Mm.
because it's that whole family is everything kind of thing.
Mhm.
I sometimes wonder if it's like a ranking of who am I closest to, I'll support them, but acquaintances or anything like that, they're kind of on their own with their journey
Yeah.
kind of thing. I sometimes do wonder if some kind of ranking of, you know, who you're closer to falls into this element as well.
Yeah.
And again, it's unpredictable at this point because you can be close to someone and they still and they still potentially won't support you,
Yeah.
you know. There's so many factors to this. That's why it's kind of like no matter what Nina and I say, it can't be a slam dunk, this is what it is scenario. It just
Yeah.
can't be. It can't be because we know and we're aware that um, sometimes you just sometimes you just get so much into your life that yes, I can admit myself that you're not on social media. So you don't really catch up with things that are going on. You get so preoccupied with life. Even survival mode. I have to say this too. Survival mode it's so conditioning that people have, and we know this too because we're on the journey of moving out of it. It evolves your entire life in that one cycle, and the cycle's in survival mode, and that's kind of the it thing. So anything else I don't have time for. You know what, thinking
Mm.
about it, I feel like it's a mental thing too, is that they might have time for it, but in their mind it's like I don't have time for it. I can't
Mhm.
I can't do this and I can't juggle that, you know. I've got too much on my plate, my life. It's just overcrowding my entire existence. I have to admit, I feel like that is also a part of this situation too, is that so many people, because of the way society, because of the way our system is programmed, keeps everyone in this self space of
Mhm.
survival mode.
Yeah.
Something I've definitely noticed since COVID ended is I feel like more and more people have sheltered themselves, are sheltering themselves without fault in their space, and it's what they focus on because they
Mm.
do not have time to focus on anything else, and not even just time but mental capacity to focus on anything else
Mm.
because it's constantly this inflation, hex debts, bills is going up, rego, da 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 da. The system, I truly believe that the way the system has been done is just to keep you in survival mode because it's all it is.
Yeah.
For what reason? If this planet decided to no longer hold itself up with gravity and decided to drop, it'd all be over in a split second.
Yeah.
You know, I truly feel like the way that the system is also a problem when it comes to friendships, relationships, family. I will vouch any day that I think it's one of the major issues why there's so much crumbling going on,
Mm.
why people are finding themselves more in hermit mode, which I totally understand, and so does Nina. The world out there is chaos.
Yeah.
There's so much happening, and it's not good in many ways.
Mhm.
It's not good. So I will acknowledge, and I will always acknowledge the capacity of the the toll that life takes on you to make it hard to show up for the people around you because it invades every part of you and your mental space, right? Can truly acknowledge that. The other part of it that I have to say though is that then where do we find solution? Because we need solution. Like we need each other, essentially. We
Yeah.
need each other. And the thing is, in the human experience, human beings, like I said before and admitted before, we desire these things. Even someone that blatantly says, I don't want love. It's not everyone. It's not everyone. But some of those people that I've met, it's because love has been so hurtful and painful for them, they can't imagine any other way of experiencing it but that.
Yeah.
But they desire it. They desire it, just not painful desire it, just not in a painful way, you know?
Mhm.
Human means to desire this stuff. But if we're not meeting each other on these levels, then there's no resolution, and humanity continues to evolve without love, without being seen, without being heard, without being validated. It's just another person that, gets their driver's license and celebrates alone. It's another person that celebrates their birthday alone. It's another person that celebrates sobriety alone. Where do we find resolution is what I'm saying. Where do we find it? It's like Nina said, which is another pathway. And I'm going to use her as well, right? We are two of those people that our capacity has been over flooded with our own experiences and our own situations and feelings and emotions and, oh gosh, the healing journey, right? But the thing is, we have continued to remain as people that desire to be there for others, that desire to give support, that desire to share love. I'll say that, to share support, to share love, to bring balance, to really just give you this energy of, you're amazing, because we generally want to, because we generally desire to, because we generally know what it is to not have it.
Yeah.
Not even just for that, it's just who we are. We
Yeah.
are those people. That is us.
Yeah.
That's who we are. And we found a way to navigate through this journey, to navigate through the mental tolls and taking the breaks, having the boundaries, knowing when to fill your own cup first. We're still learning, obviously, we'll always be learning, but we've learned how to fill our own cups. We are. Actually, what am I doing? We are. But we fill our own cups, right? And then we still desire to give support. We still desire to show that love and that appreciation. You can learn. It's so possible. It's so possible. And I know and I understand. Let me say it like this. I hear and I understand that the journey to get to this point, depending on who you are, might be a journey. I don't know, neither does Nina. It could be easy. It could be, a few little learning lessons here and there. I don't know. But the main point that I have at the end of the day is validating every side, every spectrum, but resolution is where we're trying to aim for here. Coming together. Because there's no resolution like I said before, in the unbalance of Nina and I sitting here. We have our days where we sit here and we just feel so depleted because it's just so unbalanced. And friends have left. We've had to leave certain things behind. We've had to make major sacrifices because things were just so unbalanced that the depletion was every day. It was every day because we were just trying. We don't like to completely disregard. We try, but we also have to have the boundary. We also have to know when to say, there's no more now.
Yeah.
It's too unbalanced.
Yeah.
I'm giving you too much, and I want to, but at the same time, and I'm not. And like what Nina said, this is not some kind of transaction. It's not giving for a return. It's about meeting at the same level. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Balance. Nina and I have it. It's possible to have balance, right? And when it's not there, you just know. Nina knows, I know. It's just debilitating. It sucks your soul out, it feels like sometimes too.
Yeah.
As she said too, it leaves you questioning, and it has. It's left me questioning my existence and my worth and my value, because unfortunately a parts of me was attached to that, and I relied on that
Yeah.
okay, I need people's validation of my existence to actually exist. And if I don't get that, then clearly I just cannot be here anymore. A part of me relied on it. And that was for me to heal and to work through, which is still happening. But at the same time, I'm aware now that if there's unbalance, if someone is going through their mental toll, I have to fill my cup and make decisions.
Yeah.
And they're difficult decisions, but you got to do what you got to do for yourself at the end of the day, because there's unfairness on many levels.
Yeah.
They'll say there's unfairness on their end. Well, there's also unfairness on our end,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
It's interesting because it has me thinking of a lot of different angles, even with like things of jealousy and things like that, because that can often exist within certain relationship dynamics where you have people who are dismissive of it, who are just like, well, that's just the way it is. There are people who take advantage, people who just take. You have to be more mindful. And it's like, well, people end up a certain way because of a reason, right? But also boundarying that. But then you also have other areas where it's like maybe it's jealousy, maybe it's because they themselves don't feel like they can do it. And so they have a hard time supporting you when you do something for yourself. That could also be an aspect of it. But my question that I kind of want to return it to is wherever if you're listening to this right now, if you're watching this right now and you feel like, oh, okay, I feel like maybe I've fallen into this type of dynamic where either I'm giving too much or I'm not giving enough. On the opposite spectrum, I'm not giving enough, then really kind of like go inward and ask yourself, how can I serve myself and still give to others in a healthy way? How can I, or what has led to this? What has led to this? Is it my lifestyle? Is it certain behavioral patterns? Is there something that I may not feel comfortable with within the relationship that I am in? Where is it coming from? Because I do believe in my heart of hearts, human beings were made to be in community. We were made to support each other, to be with each other. And yeah, isolation, I get it. Like Ashley said, it makes perfect sense after everything we've been through as a society in the recent years, especially right now as well. But it's like we need to get back to a point where we are actually together again, where we form communities, where we actually want to form deep relationships and not just keep drifting further and further apart. I'm just going to be in my box and you're going to be in your box. And sometimes we interact, but only on a transactional way. So I can get what I want and you can get what you want. It's not going to sustain itself. I feel like, yeah, what was it? What did you call it? Survival mode? Yeah, survival mindset, survival mode, and capitalism have definitely infiltrated themselves so deeply into our psyche and into the relationships and the dynamics of them. But we really have to start taking accountability and being like, okay, well, if I want love, if I want to be supported, if I want to have things in life that make me feel good, that do come from other people, whether that be words of affirmations or support in any other way, then I must also be able to give that. I can't ask for things if I'm not capable of giving them. And it's not okay. It's okay to be busy. It's okay to have a stressful life. It's okay to be dealing with what you're dealing with. Nobody's saying, oh, go put yourself to the back and put others first. Nobody's saying that. But there has to be a balance. You need to really hone in, go deep, look at yourself and be like, okay, have I been as supportive of a friend as I thought I've been? Maybe I've been lacking in certain things. And maybe that friend hasn't said anything. Maybe they don't even notice, but is it something that makes me feel okay? Do I feel like I could get some support in certain areas with people that I don't feel like that's there? And start to have that conversation. It's okay to have the conversation. And if you've evaluated certain relationships in your life where you're like, oh, wait a minute, am I kind of actually on the opposite end? I kind of feel like I'm constantly giving and I'm not really getting anything in return. Like I don't even get a call, I don't get a text, but I'm always showing up. I'm going to events, I'm rooting for this person, but I'm not really feeling that in return. And then take that step back, distance yourself from that person, and really kind of like evaluate if that is somebody you want to have in your life. Have that conversation first if possible. But if not, if you feel like, no, I kind of just need to take my space and leave, then do that too. Not everybody can be there forever, unfortunately. There are seasons in which people can be available, and sometimes that is because of their own internal healing that they must do. I am a believer that everything happens for a reason. Sometimes that annoys me, I have to be honest, but I am a believer of that. However, it starts with us. We can't keep looking
Mm,
outside of ourselves and being like, well, this is never going to change. I'm just going to, be a terrible person. Or it doesn't solve anything. It just makes it worse. And we need each other. We need community. And therefore, we need to have these conversations. We need to have hard conversations. We need to hold each other accountable. We need to hold ourselves accountable. And we need to talk and change. That's part of it. It's not just, well, okay, now we've had a conversation. I'm going to go back to exactly what I was doing 5 weeks ago. That's not going to work. If you want to have lasting relationships in your life, you need to be able to pour into them, whether or not you're busy on your free time. Like Ashley said, it's not even contingent on objects, giving things or doing certain things, but just being available, being present, receiving that person. When was the last time you were received? When was the last time that you've been able to receive somebody openly without like, oh God, she's talking too much. Oh, I need to do it. In that moment, be present. When you have the opportunity to share your time with another person that actually cares about you, be present, because people like that don't come around often. And I mean that. Um, Forming really good, true friendships with true people, with loyal people, is not easy and it takes time. But when you do have them, you need to cherish them. And the way to do that is by being present when you're with them. Don't look at the phone when you're having dinner at the table. Like, just be there, be available, hold them, receive them, see them, support them. It doesn't have to be like money or something that you give to somebody. It could just be you being there, being beside a person, just hearing them out. That's just going to be my point in this topic. Like, there's nothing worse than not feeling valued by the people that you personally love. And there's nothing that hurts more. So definitely talk. Please communicate. We say this all the time. Communication is key, and it is. Support, communicate, try to be aware and try to be there for a person. Also do that for yourself.
definitely. I like the whole discussion on if you desire to have human beings in your life, well, guess what that comes with?
Yeah.
That comes with showing up in many different forms.
Yeah.
But if you desire to have love and friendship, guess what? This comes with that territory, and it shouldn't feel like a burden. If it does, then it might be something to look into gently and kindly for yourself. Maybe taking some time just for you might be the needed thing.
Yeah.
For you then to come back into these spaces and be ready to allow others into your space. It could be many different things, but it's the one thing that I absolutely agree on is if you're going to have people in your space, hey, they're going to come with their own experiences.
Yeah.
They're going to come with their own desires and needs. And it's up to you guys to have that discussion. It's up to you guys to be that balance for each other. And if you're in a group, same thing. It's up to everyone that's a part of the factor. It's up to me and it's up to Nina in our friendship group. Our friendships, our friendship soiree. You know, Something else that I absolutely, it's my boundary, and it's something I came up with a while ago, is if you do not have a desire to support me where I'm at now, then please don't support me when you think that it's valid. When you think
Mm,
that I've hit a certain place that, oh, hey, she's hit this certain position that I think is valid. Now I'll support her. Don't bother. Don't bother, because that definitely will pee me off. If you couldn't be there at the start, don't be there at the end. Don't be
yeah,
there in the journey of it, I'll say. Don't bother.
yeah,
Save yourself.
yeah. That's a
That's something I
perfect thing.
100% said. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a perfect mentality to have because it's true. It happens too much when people just like all of a sudden they know they're like your best friend. They've known you since like kindergarten. Oh my god, actually, yeah, yeah. Like we go to dinner like every night and we have like sleepovers every weekend. No, don't do
yes,
that. Don't feign that type of
yes,
connection to somebody just because now they're in a position that you deem acceptable or want to be at or
exactly,
admire. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, keep it to yourself, please, because there's no way in hell. I know myself, I'd get so annoyed if someone just decided to come in and go, "Oh my gosh, like this and this and this is happening for you," you know? I totally want to offer my support for that. You were kind of there though. I mean, you were just follow on Instagram and social media. You're kind of just there through the journey of it, and there was nothing through the journey of it. Why come out of the woodwork now?
Yeah.
That's really where the accountability comes in, is if you're only supporting someone when they've hit this certain, oh gosh, now that I think about it, it's kind of in the family unit. It's kind of in society where people only celebrate someone if they've met the requirements of life, like
Mhm.
marriage and children. We've said this before, and,
Yeah.
studies, education. It's this limited list of what to celebrate. We've talked about this before. I
Yeah.
feel like that's a part of this too, is only showing elements of support when someone hits that, eh, when someone succeeds in that list, you know? And then everyone kind of goes back into the forest and then comes out when another thing on the list has been hit and then goes back into the forest. That's what it reminds me of. Come out of the woodwork when they think, oh, yes, oh, they've just achieved marriage, glorious marriage. And then suddenly that all dies down and then everyone just goes away.
Mhm.
When you have children, then we shall come back out. Oh, children floating back out. That's
Yeah.
what it reminds me of. And that's one thing, witnessing it. It's my boundary. It is 100% one of my boundaries. I will not. I will not have it. And I don't care if it's a part of an ego thing. To me, it's unreasonable. It's unreasonable.
I completely agree.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
was even thinking, I actually said this recently on a TikTok video, that I kind of wonder as well if people actually know how to give support, which is another factor that I think about too.
Mm.
Which in one sense, it's not overly difficult, because you and I could list a few things that can be done, you know, but I sometimes wonder if people actually think that that is an element of support, and they think that maybe some people think that it has to be a presence there consistently.
Mm.
I just sometimes wonder, because we are a society that's still working out human. I do think that people are still working out the element of support and what that
Mhm.
is in the entirety of it.
Right.
And I mean, we've said little things. We've said, no, not little things. We've said a lot of things here and there of what that element of support is, especially when it comes to our friendship, how we evolved through it without actually fully knowing either.
Mm.
And there weren't any foundations to go off on. We kind of just was healing ourselves. I guess that's one of the starting points, is really just, like Nina asks the questions, is really sitting back and evaluating you and going on the journey of discovery of you to then come to the idea of what you desire and then also reflecting that out to the people in your life. I wrote down in my journal, right, what I desire in friendships and a partner, right? I wrote it all down. And then I asked myself, am I this? Am I honest? You know, am I kind? Yes, yes, you know. Am I dependent in these ways? You know, I asked myself these questions because I truly believe that if I'm desiring it, I also want to reflect that too.
Yeah.
I think that part is important. I believe it's important to assess where you're at with all of this, first and foremost. Where are you all at when it comes to support? Like Nina's questions are a great starting point. Where are you at? How do you think of support? What does it mean to you when you think about it? Maybe, and I get this is a whole different pathway in general, but thinking about how support was given to you or the version of it that you have an idea on, how it was given to you, you know? These questions are just really, I can only speak for myself, but I'm in a place where I'm happy to ask them, but it wasn't always like that. It's difficult to actually look in a mirror and reflect, you know? It's not easy, but at the same time, like we've been saying for this entire episode, there has to be a balance. It's incredibly unbalanced, and we have to find a balance. And that means sometimes getting uncomfortable to find the starting point of comfortability. Even that journey might even have some more uncomfortabilities, but it's the point of getting to resolution and coming to balance.
Yeah.
Lord, the universe knows, just to say this as well, how many people have had to heal from the loneliness the loneliness epidemic that
Mm.
also exists because people can't meet their space in a certain way of validation and hearing and seeing and love. So
Yeah.
even though it might be difficult to get uncomfortable, there are so many people that are suffering because they've never had any kind of element of support. And I'm not just saying support like, you know, sharing, liking, the broad spectrum of it and the entirety of it, just support for them as a human being, to acknowledge their space, acknowledge them in front of you or online or by phone,
Yeah.
acknowledging them. A lot of people haven't been acknowledged. And I know what that's like when you're not acknowledged. Do you feel like a ghost floating around this society just existing? And that, if you really want to advocate for mental health, if people really want mental health to find its healing, that is one thing that massively affects people, is feeling like a ghost
Yeah.
in a very populated society. That's another reason why we need resolution, because loneliness takes lives. It takes lives. When I actually first started, because obviously I kind of gave a small little introduction into the journey. When I first started advocating in mental health, and I started on the journey of that, and I worked with Beyond Blue and did the prevention video and helped with being a part of their advertisements and stuff like that. Just going through the journey of mental health and then posting online. I have to tell you all this. The first time it was on Facebook. It was literally, I think, a few months after the attempt at 21. I made this video, this audio video, and I posted it on Facebook. And at that time, I remember that I had, I think, over 1,000 something friends on Facebook, which probably didn't know some of them. And that's nothing towards the amount of friends. It's not about that. But I posted this video and I openly spoke because I'd gotten to a point where I had repressed it enough that I just needed to say it out loud. I just needed to be heard. And I felt like this is what was going to get me heard finally. I posted this video on Facebook, and there were definitely people that reacted in support, but dude, my follower count went from over 1,000 down to like 500 from that video.
Really?
I kid you not. It's not the fact of like now the version of me, the 21-year-old version, it was devastating
Yeah.
because I obviously went through this thought process that no one cares, no one wants to hear me, no one believes me. That's one of my biggest triggers, is not being believed because of certain things that have evolved through that. So I spiraled from that into this state of mind of I truly will never be seen and heard because clearly no one wants to hear me. Clearly, you know. And that experience was such an eye opener, especially now, saying this now, it was such an eye opener. It was a blessing in disguise. Because honestly, people had to leave. It had to happen.
Yeah.
It really had to happen. There was no safe spaces. The life that I was living, it needed to be flushed. It needed to crumble. I can't say this enough. My life needed to crumble.
Yeah.
And everything that was a part of my old life needed to crumble. And it was extremely, extremely horrendous, but it needed to happen. But that experience just added to the already mental tolls that were already there, and the ideologies that I had and the belief systems that I had. It added to that, obviously. So I shut off, but I still worked in mental health and trying to open myself up a little bit in increments to little things, just trying. Because it's just interesting. I didn't actually recognize fully that I was trying.
Mm.
But that's why I said that people do desire to be heard, even when you don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be seen. I just wanted to be seen in the suffering that had occurred, and then where I'm at and where I'm going. And oh God. So over the years, of progressing through my journey, even seeing a psychologist and starting that journey, it was such a there was just the recognition of that was basically non-existent apart from Nina. It was non-existent. And on top of everything else, it's the difficulty of that on top. It makes it, oh God, I feel like it just makes it a lot more harder to navigate through
Mm-hmm.
when you're kind of facing all this stuff on the sidelines
Yeah.
by yourself. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. Like, no one knows. No one knows just how hard you've had to work to get to where you are today. Just how difficult, and at times I can't even find the words right now to get to where you're at this point. And even though there's so much more to that story, to come to the conclusion of that, the amount of people that I've met that say the same thing, that they've been through this, they've been through that, and no one sees them for that. No one can see them for that because other people are going through their own shit. It's so unbalanced that it leaves many of us in this position of, what's the point? What am I existing for? What am I here for if no one can see me? If like I said before, if I'm just a ghost and I'm suffering, but no one can actually even give me a hug from that, what's my point? And this was my mindset for a very long time. And even still to this day, sometimes it comes to the surface. Some days I still feel alone. And it's not anything to do with Nina, because she's there. But it's the memory of that. It's the trauma of that some days I'll post things that are very vulnerable and I instantly go back to that time where it's like, oh, everyone's going to unfollow me. No one wants to hear this. No one
Mhm.
cares. People even had this ideology that, oh, you seem to go through a lot. And it's like, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that I asked for it. Like, I didn't know that I like signed some kind of book of life and said, you know what, I'd like to go through this in 2012 and then this in 2013 and then this in 2014. I didn't know that that actually worked like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's lovely. Thank you for that. But it's just countless of things that equal to the reality of we have our issues with mental health. We have our issues with suicidality also because of this.
Yes.
And in my very
100%.
short way of explaining it, yeah, it's conversation. This is kind of the proof of that.
Yeah.
You know, one of the seeing other people basically call out for that. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
calling out for it.
But no, I completely agree. And something that I definitely want to add to the discussion that I really would like people to consider, because this is very deep. The way you show up in your friendships, the way you show up in your relationships is the way you show up to yourself. And the way you show up to yourself is the way you show up in every single aspect of your life. So this is not just about being a better friend. This is very deeply connected to who you identify yourself as and what you walk through life with, and how you are exuding that to others. And even inadvertently to yourself, because you could get yourself into difficult situations not even knowing that there might be something that you're not addressing within yourself that is affecting all of your relationships in a negative light. Or
Mm.
maybe it's not negative right now, but it could be 10 years from now, 5 years from now, a couple months from now. There's no timeline to these things. And so, really, if you find yourself in this position, really take the time today or in the coming weeks to sit down, journal it out if you need to, talk about it with somebody if you need to, and really kind
Yeah.
of just delve deep, because this is very, very deep. This is connected to a very deep layer that needs to be explored. And like Ashley said, it can affect you years down the line when you're not getting that support,
Mm.
but also it can literally destroy humanity as a whole. This whole I'm
Yep.
independent, I'm just my own person, I live by myself, I don't need anybody else. That mentality does not serve anybody, and it definitely doesn't serve you. So
Mm.
take some time to
People
reflect,
don't
take some
forget.
time to journal. Yeah.
Yeah, what were you saying?
Oh no, just take some time to reflect and take some time to journal.
I was going to say that like people don't forget either,
Yes,
and
that
it can
too.
and becomes something that people have to heal from.
Yeah,
Just another thing that people have to heal from.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, do what we can to help society heal, and that starts with us.
Yeah.
I think it's time for a dance off.
What song are we playing today, Ashley? What's the
Oh
DJ
gosh,
playing?
do you know what song popped into my head? The last episode that we did.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? I don't know if you heard it. That song "Every Time We Touch."
By Cascada or Escada. Every time we touch,
Uh,
I get
Every
this
touch,
feeling.
I get this feeling, and every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can't you hear my heart beat fast? I want this to
That's the
last.
last.
Need you by my side. 'Cause every time we touch, I feel the static, and every time we kiss, I reach for the sky. I'm not a good singer. Can't you hear my heart fast? I want this to last. Need you by my side. And then, like, the beat goes in. My gosh.
I was
My
gonna
auntie
ask
used to
you.
listen to it
I was
nonstop.
gonna ask you
Huh?
which version, the pop version, the original, or the techno version? Because I like the techno.
Oh. You know what, Norm? I'm not a techno fan, but I have to say it's
Same.
just catchy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
catchy.
Yeah.
Even oh my gosh, her song's in my head. Be my bad boy, be my man, be my weekend lover, but don't be my friend. You can be my bad boy, but understand that I don't need you in my life again. And then she
My
does the techno
gosh,
part. Be my yeah, that's so
I forgot about that song. Whoa.
oh my
That's
gosh. Thank you for joining our dance off. And thank you for joining our episode. And
yes.
we
Thank you.
and if you've heard our episode the entire way, ended on a dance note, because dancing actually shakes up the nervous system and
Yes.
regulates it when you move your body.
Yes.
And you can Google that.
Yeah.
So if you
It's
need a little
real.
shake up anytime that we do our episodes, do it. Doesn't harm anyone. Takes a couple of seconds just to shake it out. And just take a deep breath and then go forward with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Mm.
100%. I love that. It's like a Tony Robbins seminar. You know, there's always music and people are like, get up, yeah, fist pump. Oh,
It's always the Macarena. We always come back to the Macarena at the end of the day. And I'm going to say goodbye to you all while doing the Macarena.
yes.
See you next episode. Bye bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend and know that you can do anything. Bye.